Welcome to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where you get the inside access to the best minds in the game. Each week, Chris has the privilege of chatting with top instructors, legendary players, course architects, and industry insiders. If you're looking to improve your game, gain a new perspective, or just hear some incredible golf stories, you are indeed in the right place.
You see, Chris, let me tell you something. I haven't spoken to a press man in my life that is knowledgeable, seriously, as you are. Never.
You do such a great job. It kind of makes me feel good all of a sudden.
You do so much for the game. You're so kind to all of us that are out there in the game. You know, we need more people like you in the game of golf.
Thank you for pressing play. Now, grab your clubs, step up to the tee, and let's get started. This is Next on the Tee.
Hi, folks, and welcome into this edition of Next on the Tee, where golf legends live and your game gets better. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and I'm so grateful that you're here and taking the journey with me again this week. This time around, I've got some great friends that I'm excited to share with you, discussing news from around our game, plus some game improvement tips from two of the best instructors in our game. And I go a little homer on you this week as I hop a ride with my friend Paul Alexander from 93.7 The Fan up in Pittsburgh. We talk some hometown sports, plus how he's keeping the rust off his golf swing this winter up there. But like I say, he's sandwiched in between two of the best instructors in our game, and of course Tom Patri is one of those. The other sits inside the top 10 of all instructors, according to Golf Digest, and that's Martin Chuck. So Tom's going to lead things off, fresh off being at the PGA Merchandise Show where we got to spend some time together. We'll hear about some of the great new technology that he saw while he was there. I get his thoughts on playing the right golf ball for your swing and why that's important. Plus, Scotty Scheffler picking up right where he left off last year. I mean, the guy is just simply amazing. The things that he's accomplishing are definitely Tiger-esque, so we'll get into all of that. And if Blade's not winning that tournament, Blade's Brown, you saw the guy, he's a high school senior, should be in chemistry class when he's out there playing on the PGA Tour. If not winning that, might have actually been the best thing that could have happened for him. You'll hear why. And you'll hear that and so much more. Tom is great. You guys know that. We get into a lot when he joins me. He'll be here in just a moment. Then Paul jumps in. We talk Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, a little Winter Olympics, and we look back at the miracle on ice. Plus, we sneak in a little winter golf talk as well. Then in part two, be sure to come back for that because I have the privilege of spending more time with Martin Chuck. Martin tells us if you only have time to work on one thing with respect to your game, what that one thing should be. I get his thoughts on if we're starting to get to the point where the data is we're all just in data overload from all the tech that we have available to us now. I learned at the PGA show that TrackMan is coming out with 9 new data points. I can't imagine 9 more things we need to have data points for, but they're doing it. Martin weighs in on that. He shares what role confidence plays in becoming a great ball striker. Plus, when we go to the range prior to a round, we need to have a plan, and that plan should be thinking about the critical shots that we're likely to face that day. And those are the shots that we should be warming up, practicing too prior to going to the first tee. And that is such a great tip if you've got a nemesis hole out there, right? You should be having that in your mind, starting to play the shot that you know that you're going to need to play, practicing that so that when you get there, well, you've already hit that shot a whole bunch of times today. Just go ahead and let it go. Martin's fantastic, and through the course of the conversation, you're going to hear why he's number 9 on the Golf Digest list. So be sure to come back for part 2. Folks, I don't have a good show in store for you this week. I've got a great one. So thank you again for pressing play and being a part of the journey with me again this week. Okay, but before we get into all of that, I want to start off by giving a shout out to my great friends over at the Trib. TribLive.com is the leading news website in Western Pennsylvania with news around the clock, Pittsburgh pro sports coverage, a high school sports network, and a podcast network, which is where you can find Next on the Tee. Bookmark TribLive.com or download the Trib Live app for free and stay up to date with the latest news from Western Pennsylvania and beyond. I also want to talk about our friends over at the Pittsburgh Brewing Company and Iron City Beer, a brand that I have loved my whole life and started drinking when I was 21 years old, of course. Whether you're a hacker or a scratcher, the secret to a successful day on the links is knowing when it's time to grab an iron, even if that means keeping it in the bag till the 19th hole. If it's been a while since you've reached for Pittsburgh staple beer, it's time to revisit Iron City. Thanks to their incredible new facility in Creighton, the best-tasting Iron City beer ever made is now available at a course near you. Iron City pairs well with any lie and sky and serves as a friendly reminder that there's always next round. And because it's never too early for chocolate, their double chocolate Bock is back for the season, and it's the perfect companion for a cozy winter evening. Check out all of their wonderful beers and their gift shop online by going to pittsburghbrewing.com. And this year, get ready to experience a game like never before at the Keep, the brand new Bill Bergen and Reese Jones co-designed course at Macklemore. Nestled high atop Lookout Mountain, the Keep offers breathtaking vistas that are made even more spectacular as the autumn colors paint the landscape in rich hues of red, orange, and gold. With its challenging layout and awe-inspiring views, every round here is an unforgettable adventure. Whether you're taking on the signature holes or just soaking in the scenery, the Keep is where your best golf meets nature's finest backdrop. So grab your clubs and join us up at Macklemore. The Keep is open and it's waiting for you. Okay, now back from his incredibly busy agenda at the PGA Merchandise Show is our Rockstar Resident Director of Instruction, Tom Patri. As you know, Tom was a two-time first-team All-American at Florida Southern and the Division II National Champion in 1981. He was inducted into the Sunshine State Conference Hall of Fame, turned pro and played professionally from 1981 to 1988 pretty much all around the world. He later became the Director of Golf Instruction at Westchester Country Club. He's been named the Teacher of the Year everywhere he's been, and he was recently named by Golf Magazine as a Top 100 Alumni Instructor. So I am incredibly honored to have the great man back with me again this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, TP, how are you, my friend?
Crazy boy!
There you go. See, I like that. There's a little enthusiasm.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the table on you.
Uh-oh.
You always get the ask the questions. I've got a couple of questions for you.
You do?
Yeah, you have a couple of.
This is my show. You don't get to ask me questions.
Yeah, well, it's really in question if it's your show because we generally carry you. So let's not get carried.
Oh, listen to you.
Yeah. Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm underwhelmed by the Mike McCarthy. I got Paul Alexander coming on from 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh in segment number 2. We'll get all into this. Yeah, I'm a little underwhelmed. Now, depending on whether what I've heard is true or not, because I was sort of really pulling for Chris Shula, the defensive coordinator from the Rams. Now, they just went out and gave up 31 to Seattle in the NFC Championship game, so maybe I should rethink that. But I was thinking, young guy, that seems to be the model that the Steelers have, right? If you go all the way back to Chuck Noll, he was a young guy, offensive coordinator, offensive line coach for the Cleveland Browns, came in, right, was there for 100 years. Then Bill Cowher, young defensive coordinator from the Kansas City Chiefs, brought him over. He was around for 100 years. Mike Tomlin, almost an unheard of guy from Minnesota. No one really knew who he was. Young guy, was around for 19 years. So you figure, well, that's the model, right? We're gonna go young, and Shula is gonna be the guy. Maybe Shieldhouse, who is the pass game coordinator from the Rams. Two young guys. We're probably gonna go that way. Good. Let's start over. Let's get younger. Mike McCarthy, I mean, I get it. Look, he's from Pittsburgh. I watched the press conference, tearful, very appreciative of the opportunity, gets to come home and be the head coach of his hometown team. How much better can that be, right? Good for him. I just feel like we got the same guy. I mean, he's won a lot of regular season games, not a lot of postseason games. I just feel like we traded one coach for the other coach.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. And what about the quarterback position?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I heard the name Will Howard 2 or 3 times during the course of that conversation today in the press conference, which excites me because I'm a Will Howard guy. Guy won a national championship at Ohio State. Not an easy thing to do. Didn't get an opportunity. We haven't seen him play at all since putting on a Steelers uniform outside of practice. And remember, training camp, I think he broke his index finger, and we never even got to see him play a preseason game. So I get why everyone is a little, he was a 6th-round pick. People not that sold on him. Last I checked, though, TP, and you and I've had this conversation, Brock Purdy, he was Mr. Irrelevant, 7th-round pick. Last guy picked in the draft. That guy's pretty good. We all know the Tom Brady story and all that sort of stuff. So I don't feel like just, he fell to the 6th round for a reason. Well, maybe. I don't know. So I'm a Will Howard guy. He's just a wonderful kid. And he said all the right things all along the way. He won a national championship. I think the guy deserves an opportunity to see if he can play or not.
Malik Willis.
Yeah, look, Mike Tomlin was high on Malik Willis back during the draft. Remember, we ended up going Kenny Pickett instead of Malik Willis.
Kenny who?
Yeah, exactly. Not the wisest of picks. That didn't go well.
No. Listen, you could say Kenny Pickens on paper had every bit the pedigree that Will Howard has.
Yeah, he didn't win a national championship, but yeah, he was a good quarterback. There's no question.
Okay.
So we'll see. I mean, hey, look, if you told me right now that the Steelers are going to go out and sign Malik Willis, they're going to give Will Howard a real opportunity, and then you've got Mason Rudolph as your backup quarterback, and if all else fails, I'm okay with that. I'll go into training camp in 2026 with that and see what happens. I'm all about it.
Okay.
What else you got?
I was going to go to bed now, but go ahead.
Can I take over the show? Can I take my show back now?
Jesus Christ! I mean, you just dominated it for 5 minutes. I said 2 words, and you went on a rant. Go ahead.
All right, so we're switching gears now. So we got to actually spend time in each other's presence at the PGA Merchandise Show, which was very odd. So tell me, that was the first day, first morning. We spent about an hour or so in the podcast radio desk table, whatever they had set up out there. And then we didn't see each other for 2.5 days. So over that course of time, would you see anything catch your fancy?
I'm all technologied out. I mean, I kept on seeing some cool technology, some 3D stuff that was interesting, and you go through all these different adorations of 3D and the latest and greatest video and launch monitors, and TrackMan's doing an upgrade, and they're going to add data points. And I kept on looking at it going, I got Mr. and Mrs. Smith walk in here, and let's say they're decent club players. Let's say they're mid-teen handicaps. How much can they absorb in an hour golf lesson? How much can I throw at them, without crippling them? You turn on TrackMan and you put more than 2 data points up, and you run some video, and their head, if you're not careful, their head is spinning, right? So now I'm going to add 3D to that. I don't think so. So I keep on wanting to do that and wanting to do more in the Bay and in the Learning Center. And then I look at the cost. I think about who's the average person taking a lesson at the club level, who's the majority of the people that, listen, I teach some good college players. I teach a couple good mini tour players. Every once in a while, a tour player drops by. But listen, most of my career right now is serving my membership and my non-members who happen to be loyal to me. How much can I throw at them that they can really absorb and really not choke themselves to death? So at the end of the day, after looking at a bunch of that stuff, which was really cool and I really like, and it really interests me, and I think it'd be fun to have, I don't know who I would use it with and how much I would really use it. For Mr. and Mrs. average golfer who wants to get better and wants to understand a little bit more about their golf swing.
So yeah, let's take that a step further, Tom, because to your point, and I think we both spent time independently with the guys over at TrackMan, they've got more data points that they're going to come out with this year. I want to say 9 more data points that they're going to share with us. And to your point about flight scope and body tracking, all that kind of stuff. I mean, at some point, doesn't it just become noise? I mean, it's hard enough to understand what smash factor is on a day-to-day basis, let alone coming up with 9 new things.
Right. So when I give a golf lesson in the Bay to one of my members, the most data points I have up on the screen at one time, the most I have up at one time is 4. And generally, there's a lot of redundancy there. And I'm not trying to bore anybody, but I always have face and path up. I might put a smash factor up there, and I might put maybe the fourth one might be an angle of attack or, something like that. And they have a big time at times confusion or understanding the relationship of face path and how the ball flies and where it goes. So listen, right now we can put 27 data points up. I've never put up more than 4 during a golf lesson. Never. And that, by the way, that includes my really advanced players, because I keep on saying to people, Chris, the golf swing takes about 2 seconds from start to finish. How many things can you think about in 2 seconds and hit a golf shot? And how many do you want them to think about, right? In 2 seconds and hit a golf shot. So you're going to come up with 9 more data points. We're going to go from 27 to 36, and I'm still going to put 4 up on the screen.
During our conversation at the show, you talked about how the golf ball is the one consistent thing that's there on every shot. And I think one of the big mistakes that many amateurs like me make is we choose the wrong golf ball. We choose a golf ball that we see the guys out on tour play. You're a Rory McIlroy fan, you're playing a TP5. You're a Scotty Scheffler guy, you're playing a Pro V1. And we think, hey, those guys are playing those golf balls. Those must be the best. But what we fail to consider is those guys compress the golf ball way more than we do. They have faster swing speeds than we do. But those are the balls we see on tour. Those are the most expensive ones. They must be the best. Would we be better off if we've got, a normal swing speed? Look, my swing speed on my driver is in the low 90s. I mean, we think, well, that golf ball right there is only $30 a dozen. It can't be any good. A lower compression golf ball, one that spins less. Are we constantly making a really bad choice when we go to buy our golf balls?
Well, first of all, let's back up a little bit. So the first thing that matters more than the golf ball and anything else is hitting it in the center of the club face. And most of our friends out there, most of the people that come to a lesson with TP at Twin Eagles, we can quantify that they don't hit it in the middle of the club face. So it doesn't matter if you got a marshmallow or a rock. If you can't hit it in the middle of the club face, it's not going to matter a whole lot what you're playing. So let's then assume you can, a reasonable amount of time, hit it in the middle of the club face. Independent testing, and I'm a Titleist guy, you know that, and I'm gonna go there right now. Independent test, and we have I think 7 golf balls in our line right now. 7 different golf balls that supposedly are doing different things. And all the testing we do, no matter what the skill level, shows that the Pro V outperforms everything else in the line. Now, I have Mr. Smith come in and tell me, hey, the velocity feels so much better to me than the Pro V1. And I'm saying to myself, I think I'm a little bit better than Mr. Smith, and I hit a velocity and I hit a Pro V1. And if you took the markings off of it and I didn't know what it was, I'm not sure I could tell the difference by feel. So I think Mr. Smith is full of shit personally. Okay. And the only way to really determine what's best for you is to test the golf ball. Now we can do that. We can do that using TrackMan. We can quantify certain things to go on off the face of a club, like carry, like height, like total, like spin rates. We can test golf balls using TrackMan. Does anybody do that? No, they read some literature or they watch a TV ad, or like you said, Rory plays it, or Scotty plays it, or Tiger plays it, or Billy Horschel plays it. So I'm going to play that ball because I like them. That's how most of your fans out there make those decisions, which is obviously the wrong way to make that decision.
Switching gears a little bit to, speaking of the PGA Tour and Scotty Scheffler, and we'll get into his win in just a moment. But Tom, you and I were talking, the golf world was captivated for a few days by an 18-year-old by the name of Blades Brown, who was tied for the lead going into the final round this past weekend, ultimately finished tied for 18th after a final round 74. But he was in the last group alongside of Scotty and Siwoo Kim. Talk about what you saw from this young man.
Well, let's keep in mind that Blades Brown right now, if he wasn't on the PGA Tour, would be a senior in high school. Let's just Let's just start with that. I mean, I want people out there listening to really think about that for a second. If he wasn't playing in the last round, Scotty Scheffler and Siwoo, he would be a high school senior in Tennessee somewhere. A high school senior, right? Not a college player, not a Corn Ferry guy. He'd be a high school senior. So that in itself is pretty unbelievable. And although he played wonderful golf for 3 days and had a tough day on Sunday, it's not the first time in a professional event this kid has popped his head up and been around the lead. He's played some really good Corn Ferry golf already. He's shot some really good consecutive numbers, and I say that in purpose, consecutive numbers. He's not scared, obviously, to go low, and I don't think people understand how hard that is, when you get on a roll to keep it going. But he's not, I think on the 60 round, he birdied the first 7 holes in a row. I mean, they think about the score, but if you go back to the scorecard, got an amazing roll start in that round. I don't think it's the last time we hear about Blades Brown. I really don't.
He praised how good and underrated, by the way, he thought Scotty Scheffler's short game is, and he said that's something he's going to go work on, which I know you appreciate hearing very much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, listen, he can't have too bad of a putting stroke if he shot 60, right? So he's holding some putts, and he can't have a really not so good short game if he's playing golf on the professional level. I don't care if it's Corn Ferry PGA Tour. Can it get better? I appreciate the fact that he thinks it needs to get better. It probably does, but it's not bad. I mean, I always tell my folks at the club, Chris, the worst short game on the PGA Tour is better than any short game they've ever seen at their club, ever. It's not even close. The best short game they've ever seen at the club, the best, on the best day, isn't as good as the worst one on tour. These guys are so good. I'm going to call it inside 50 yards, not even 100, and certainly inside 30 yards. It's a joke how good they are. It's a joke.
We talked now about Scotty being in the rarefied air with Jack and Tiger. One thing we always say about both of those guys is how intimidating they were. When they got to the top or even near the top of the leaderboard, other players started falling by the wayside. And at one point on Sunday, the only 2 guys on the golf course who were playing over par were Blades and Siwoo Kim. Players fall back because they think they have to do things that they're not capable of. That's what they did when they thought, Jack was around the top of the leaderboard, or certainly when Tiger was near the top of the leaderboard. And now you can start saying about Scotty. I mean, talk about the intimidation factor, because Scotty, to me, Tom, feels like a tank. He's just going to keep on rolling. He's going to keep on rolling your way. He's going to run you over, and he's going to run to the top of the leaderboard, and he's going to win by 3 or 4. To me, that's the guy who Scotty is now. And I feel like he is going to do the same things that Jack and Tiger did to Fields. He's just going to intimidate him and just steamroll him because he's just that much better.
Yeah, I think that, I think that the head game, we got to get Dr. Bob Rotellin on this one, or Dr. Bob Winterson on this one. The head game's incredible. You go to the first tee as a world-class player. Siwoo, this kid Blades Brown is no slouch, obviously, and a host of others that were in contention in that last round. Listen, they're great players, not good players. They're all great players. But this guy tees it up, and everybody kind of gets out of the way. We'll have somebody come along here at some point that challenges the king on his throne. It is always going to be the next one, Chris. I mean, we forget about the year Vijay Singh had way back when Tiger was in his prime, and I think he won 7 times one year, and Vijay had no problem standing up and saying, "I'm just not scared of this guy," and it takes that kind of mindset, and we haven't seen that person yet really challenge Scotty. We haven't seen who that is yet, or would stand up and feel that way. But there will be someone. The talent pool out there is deep. There will be someone that comes along and stands up to him. Right now, that person doesn't exist.
Speaking of Blades Brown and his future, Jack always said that not winning the 1960 U.S. Open when he was an amateur was the best thing for him. He finished second to Arnold that year because it might have made him overconfident winning at such a young age, and that he needed to better learn how to handle the back nine pressure. That was obviously a major, but just in general, learning how to deal with the pressure better. Could you see a similar lesson for Blades Brown? He's gone through the experience now of being in the final group, staring down Scotty Scheffler. Could not winning actually be better for him than had he won on Sunday?
There's that marvelous host of Next on the Tee making a great point right there. That's why we love Chris Mascaro. And you're absolutely right. I think those lessons. We saw young Tom Watson go through that, right? We've seen numerous great players have that early disappointment and then all of a sudden, just bust through. Would it be a shocking thing if 3 years from now, Blades Brown came down the last 3 holes at Augusta and beat Scotty Scheffler by a shot? Oh, I don't think it'd be far fetched. I mean, that's the kid is a racehorse. I mean, he's a thoroughbred. You wouldn't be playing that kind of golf at 18 years old if he wasn't. Now, on the other side of that, we talked about this off air this morning. It could be a flash in the pan too, right? We've seen that youngster come along in the past, and we just got so excited about somebody, and then all of a sudden they vanished. They just disappeared. So we don't know that yet, but somebody's going to come along and learn that lesson. I think this kid is for real. I think if that's true, if he is for real, that you're right. That lesson he learned on Sunday will be well received, and he'll make corrections, and he'll be better off for it. Only time will tell.
Speaking of that, and I'm sure you remember this 2 years ago at this very same tournament. Oh, by the way, Nick Dunlap won when he was an amateur, right?
I knew you were going there. I knew you were.
So he wins, right? He ends up turning pro shortly thereafter. Had some wild up and downs in his career since then. He won the Barracuda Championship later that same year, but last year he only made 13 out of 25 cuts. Mm-hmm. So to your point, on the opposite side of the coin,
right?
Can winning like that, all of a sudden, now you've got a lot of pressure. You've got the expectations that come along with winning. Does that put too much pressure, particularly on a guy like Blades Brown, to your point, who should be in chemistry class right about now, as opposed to playing out on tour? Could it also be a career record?
Yeah, and I think there's a good example, Chris. The Nick Dunlaps of the world versus the Blades Browns of the world versus where else you want to throw in there at an early young age. Everybody handles it a little bit differently. I think it's a choice you make. I think it's actually a choice you make, and pressure is self-induced. And the head plays funny tricks on us sometimes, both good and bad. And Nick, obviously, so far, listen, he's a very fine player. He wouldn't have done what he's done so far if he wasn't a good player, but he hasn't handled it particularly well. I mean, he shot some horrifically high scores last year on different occasions. I think one of them was 87 or 88 somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. You can check it. I mean, I can't picture somebody with that kind of talent. I don't care where we are, what course we're on, or what the conditions are, shooting 88. So he lets it get sideways sometimes, and that's not a good sign.
I want to go back to Scotty for a minute, because right out of the gate, he gets his 20th tour victory. He's the player of the year, right? The last 4 consecutive seasons, been player of the year, picks up right where he left off, won by 4, becoming only the 3rd player to ever reach 20 wins before turning 30 years of age. I think we know who the other 2 were. But the way we talked about it yesterday, the way that you mentioned, kind of ho-hum, kind of a yawn. Scotty wins again. He does it by 4 strokes. Oh well. It's not taken, I don't feel like, in the same way that Tiger was. Now look, Tiger pulled off unbelievable shots. I mean, he had shots from places that no one could have ever dreamed someone could pull off. He snaked in putts from all over the place that got the crowd roaring. But Scotty, like I say, he's the machine. I mean, down the middle, on the green. I mean, 5 feet, he pours it in most of the time and goes on and he ends up winning. I mean, look, he made 9 birdies on Sunday, only one of which was from more than 5 feet. The guy is unbelievable, and we kind of yawn at what he does. but he actually does all the things that we all wish we could do. Hit fairways, hit greens, hit it close, make the birdie. And now we're thinking it's boring golf.
Yeah, not that this is a great comparison from an overall career standpoint, but there was a guy back in the early to middle and late '60s named Billy Casper, and he was playing at the same time as Jack Arnold and Gary, and never really got, I don't think, the credit he deserved for the quality of golf he played. Won a couple majors, played some wonderful golf. It was a shot maker, a great putter. But he was kind of a quiet, he was a Mormon, very, very reserved guy. Wasn't flashy, didn't dress very flashy, kind of went about his business and disappeared into the sunset. And Scotty's kind of that way too. Scotty doesn't have, he's unbelievable talent, incredible. He is a unicorn, no doubt about it. But I got to tell you something, from a pizzazz standpoint, he ain't got it. He just hasn't got it. He just, the interviews are kind of docile. The sound bites aren't very good. I love my wife and my kid. I've heard it every single interview. I got it. I know you love your wife and your kid. Congratulations. I mean, but it just, he's not Tiger. He's not Seve. He's not Arnie. He's not even Jack in terms of, appealing to being, he is the face of the PGA Tour, but it just feels like the lights are dim. They're never really very bright, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And to your point, Billy Casper was a big family man, lots of kids, but just a huge family man. And that's where it feels like Scotty is trending. To your point about, I love my wife. I've got, the baby and everything and, the family side.
Which is terrific. It's terrific, but it's not, I'm sure the guys at the tour and headquarters wish he'd go on a rant at some point and do something crazy,
He got arrested once.
Well, yeah, that was poor
Does that count?
Poor bastard. He didn't deserve that at all, did he? That was not exactly what we're looking for, and wasn't his fault. But you know what I'm saying. It's just not very exciting. As much as we all want, I think we want the hero and the villain, and if we did have a villain, Scotty wouldn't be confrontational with the villain. He just wouldn't. He wouldn't mix it up. It wouldn't be, we all enjoyed the Phil and the Tiger times, right? When they kind of went at it with each other, both on and off the golf course, through sound bites. We enjoyed that. There was a period of time when Jack and Arnie had a little bit of that. But we don't have that right now on tour. We don't have a really dynamic hero. We have a hero. He's good, but he's not very dynamic. And we don't have a villain right now. So the marketing aspect is tough.
So what you're saying is we need Patrick Reed to come back over on the PGA Tour so that we can have the yin and the yang.
How easy is it to hate Patrick Reed? It's pretty easy, right? We know what he is. Okay.
Yep.
But I don't know if Scotty would even react. If Patrick Reed went at Scotty Scheffler verbally on the soundbite, I don't think Scotty would go back at him. I don't think
it's just not in him.
I don't think that's who he is, and good for him. But that's just not who he is.
Yeah. Speaking of guys coming back to the PGA Tour, Brooks Koepka makes his return. How do you feel about what they did to allow that little window for guys that played and won at 2022 or beyond, for the handful, 3 guys that opened the window for? How do you feel about them opening that door if they take a little money out of their wallet and give it to charity?
Well, they did more than take money out of his wallet. Let's be fair. They took $5 million and asked them to go to charity, which they haven't really said where exactly it's going yet. But then they cut him out of the equities thing too, which is going to be a big number over the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It could turn into somewhere between 50 and 85 million, 50 low, 85 high. So there's a substantial punishment there. And now, listen, we know he got paid a bunch of money to go over there, but he's going to give up for 5 years a pretty strong equity stake in a tour during, let's face it, he's not on the front line of his career anymore. So those next 5 years are really pretty important earning years for him. I'm sure he's glad to be back. I don't think he ever really felt good about going in the first place. I'm surprised when that window was open. I think it really surprised me, Chris, when that window was open, that nobody else nibbled on it at all. No Cam Smith, no John Rahm, no Dustin Johnson. All would have been in the same category of major champions, and none of those guys nibbled at all.
Yeah, of those guys, I thought Cam Smith might be the one that would think. Now we've also heard that John Rahm, right, may have had some buyer's remorse, so you could argue that too. But Cam Smith has largely disappeared from the world of golf ever since he went over there. John Rahm obviously is their best player. He continues to win and do all those things over there. So maybe it's not such a big deal for Rahm because he knows he's going to be in the majors for quite a long time.
Yeah, Chris, but if you saw it, Cam Smith came out and made a statement and said, "I'm perfectly happy where I am."
Oh, is that right? No, I did not see that.
Yeah, which I was like, really? I mean, you went from being, on the cusp of being a top 3 or 4 player in the world to being irrelevant right now. Really irrelevant. Didn't nibble at all.
Yeah, that very surprising to me.
Yeah, me too.
Tom, before I let you go, remind our listeners again how they can stay up to date with all the great things that you're out there doing, whether they're following you on your myriad of Instagram accounts or on your YouTube page or on your website.
Chrissy, I'm almost laughing. I'm going to say this. I'm now on TikTok also.
You're what?
Yeah. TikTok.
You're a TikTok guy now?
Now on TikTok.
Wow.
I know you're not, so you probably weren't aware of that. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, the website, of course, is just tompatri.com. But every other Tuesday night, I am blessed to be on with the greatest golf podcast host on the planet, Mr. Chris Mascaro. And although you didn't go into much detail, the time we spent at the show, and we had Frank Darby drop by in that recording, that was a lot of fun. Now, I enjoyed the face-to-face back and forth banter. That was a lot of fun, and I feel privileged to be on here with you on this show. Thank you very much.
You're the best, my friend. I can't thank you enough for all you mean to me and you mean to this show. You're just the very best in everything that you do. I'm thankful for you, grateful every time you join me in our conversations off the air as well. I look forward to 2 weeks from now when you're back a part of this, and when we talk probably tomorrow morning.
Tell that Martin Shuck I said hi.
I will absolutely do that. Give my best to Mrs. Patri too, by the way.
Bye, buddy. I appreciate it.
See you, Tom. That is the great Tom Patri, folks. They just don't get better than that guy. Look, we had an opportunity to spend some time. Like I say, it was kind of odd sitting next to Tom doing the show down at the PGA Merchandise Show, but great in and of itself. And then to his point, when we had someone like the great Frank Darby come by and then jump into the conversation, you guys will hear it. I've got a lot of content that I'm getting ready to put together, got to edit it up. There's a lot of background noise, unfortunately, when you're out there on the main floor. And by main floor, I mean we were kind of outside of one of the entrances and exit doors, but then in kind of one of the big walkways. We had all of that and had an opportunity to spend some time and chat about a lot of things that we saw there or we're going to see there. But then, like I say, Frank jumped in and had a great conversation about the Ryder Cup and things of that nature. And like I say, lots of other people had an opportunity right after that. You'll get the full lineup. You'll hear it. But Tom Patri is just the gem, my friends. Getting that opportunity to spend some time just even talking golf when you're there, not on the show, no mic around, those sorts of things. And like he says, we do it a lot in the mornings as well. But like I say, I couldn't be more grateful to one single individual than I am to Tom Patri. We'll get him back on the show, of course, in a couple of weeks. Okay, coming up next is our good friend Paul Alexander. He jumps in for a few minutes. But before he does, I want to remind you about our friends over at On Point Golf and their out-of-this-world On Point Golf Ball Marker. And if you don't have one, folks, you really need to go check it out at onpointgolf.us. Get the #1 ball marker in the game of golf. On Point is the only 3-dimensional ball marker out there. with alignment technology and a removable coin that is approved to use according to the rules of golf. As you know, putting is all about line and pace. Mark your ball with OnPoint, engage with your three-dimensional ball marker, and have more confidence in your line, execute the putt, and you're going to lower your scores. Do what the likes of Jim Furyk, PGA professionals, and amateurs alike are doing now. They use the number one ball marker in golf and they lower their scores. You know Ken Duke and Thongchai JD. They won for the first time on the PGA Tour in 2023, and they were using an OnPoint ball marker. Get yours at onpointgolf.us and make more putts. And oh, by the way, you can also customize the removable coin for any club, event, or corporate outing. They make really great tee gifts and custom products. That's also going to help lower your score. I use OnPoint ball markers. Mine is black and gold, 3D black golf ball with a gold line down the middle to help me line up my putts. It's like having a 15th club in my bag. It's helped my game. Why wouldn't you let it help yours? Again, onpointgolf.us. See what I'm talking about. Order yours today. And folks, if you haven't tried 2-Under yet, you really need to. Why? Well, from the first tee to the clubhouse, 2-Under's Joey Patch is going to keep you comfortable and locked in all round or all day. Build your own bundle by going online to 2under.com. That's the number 2UNDR.com, and you're going to save 20%. And are you tired of boring golf clothes? Well, Sunday Swagger's changing the game with premium performance apparel that delivers the look and feel of $100 polos for much, much less, while never sacrificing style for comfort. Their bold polos, shorts, and outerwear feature 4-way stretch and moisture-wicking fabric that moves with you, whether you're crushing drives or you're crushing happy hour. With over 300 unique designs and vibrant colors ranging from their bestsellers like Jawbreaker to exclusive collaborations like Guinness, Sunday Swagger offers something for everybody. And their matching prints for couples, families, and children are flying off the shelves. You might even recognize some Sunday Swagger designs in popular Hollywood movies and TV shows like Happy Gilmore 2. How about that? Sunday Swagger is guaranteed to turn heads and spark conversation. Visit sundayswagger.com and join the Sunday Club for exclusive drops and member benefits. Sunday Swagger. It's your swagger. Embrace it. Own it. Okay, now next on the tee with me is not only one of my all-time favorite guests, which is obvious by the number of times that he has been gracious enough to join me, and that number is now up to 32, but he's also one of my favorite people on the planet, and that is Paul Alexander. You can hear his wonderful golf show Going Low on 93.7 The Fan up in Pittsburgh. He also hosts the Pirates and Penguins pre- and post-game shows, plus a daily call-in show, and as I've said for years, nobody knows Pittsburgh sports like Paul does. He has meant so much to me, not only as a guest, but also as a mentor and a friend. I've long admired the style with which he conducts his shows, and I couldn't be more thrilled that I get to spend some more time with him this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Paul, how are you, my friend?
You know what, Chris? I'm hanging in there. We are in the middle of like an Arctic tundra kind of situation, man. We're going down to 5 below tonight.
Oh, my goodness, really?
Yeah. I made a post, and I love to have something that appears like it should have Scotty Scheffler's name in front of it. -5.
Oh, that's brutal.
Oh, it's awful.
All right, so we got to jump right into it because, unbelievably, the Steelers have a new head coach. I was so excited. I thought that was never going to happen, but they finally go out and do something different. Hopefully they can become a little less mediocre in the future. Mike McCarthy being introduced today as the new head coach. How do you feel about the Steelers hiring him?
Well, it wasn't my choice, I'm going to be honest. When it comes to personality and quality of a human being, you couldn't find a better candidate than Mike. I've been lucky enough to play golf with him a couple times. He is one of my all-time favorite people. He is pure Pittsburgh. I mean, there's not a more Pittsburgh guy. His whole family there, his mom and dad. He got so emotional during the press conference. I don't think he could believe that he was standing there in front of everybody as the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was overwhelmed with emotion. And even though there was, you know, now assuming that the Roonies don't care about winning because they thought that a young, young coordinator like Shula or one of these guys that were being mentioned and that they actually had talked to. They didn't talk to Shula, but they did talk to They wanted something new, bright and shiny and exciting. And, Mike hasn't won a playoff game in a while either. So, unfortunately, there was a lot of negativity. How people tuned into that live press conference today and just saw how emotional and excited he was. I think he's gonna turn this thing around. Now, granted, coaches are always measured by wins and losses. We know that, but I believe that just through today, by winning the press conference today, there's going to be genuine excitement of they really want this guy to succeed here. I think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, to your point, I think when rumor came out that he was going to be the guy, a lot of folks on Steelers Nation out there and YouTube and on social media were panning this decision. They felt like they were getting the same guy back again. Like we just had a guy who could win a lot of regular season games, couldn't win postseason games, and now we got the same guy back. Do you think, based on what they saw today, that people are going to change their minds?
Well, I don't know about that as best I could on X. Since Bruce Arians was forced into retirement, like that whole bogus charade that the Steelers pulled on us with BA's retiring, Mike McCarthy is an offensive guru. See, Mike Tomlin was a fraudulent defensive guru. He had the highest paid defense in the NFL, and his defense they were awful. I mean, he was not as he was portrayed to be. It's the real deal. I mean, you look what Dak Prescott did when he was healthy with the Cowboys during his time there. In his 18 years as a head coach, I think 12 years have been spent in the top 5 of NFL offenses. So his resume, his overall respect in the league, he knows his stuff and thinks that he did in Dallas that I think Steeler fans would be surprised to hear. He's not a fuddy-duddy. He embraced analytics. I mean, he got on board with the NFL's changes, toward, not necessarily just, win the turnover battle. That's all Mike Tomlin cared about. Don't throw the ball over the middle. Don't risk a turnover. Let his quarterback, whoever that may be, try to score points and win games. And we haven't seen that. And I hope he hires a nice young coordinator that he can kind of mentor and maybe turn into the next guy. I would love that. And he's going to have to hire a really, really bad dude as a D coordinator because Mike doesn't really dabble in defense. He doesn't do that. So I'm excited to see the staff. And I don't think they're not going to pay Mike what they were paying Tomlin. He was making 18 to 20 million. I'm sure Mike's not getting that kind of money. That's because the one area they've been notoriously cheap is with staff. They go get some big time assistants. McCarthy has a tree. He has a lot of guys that, he's worked with, coached with, that might love to come join him in Pittsburgh. So I'm optimistic, not overly so, but, cautiously so.
As you know, I'm sure all too well, Steelers Nation has been clamoring for Will Howard to get a shot all season long, despite him not getting any reps in preseason due to the finger injury he sustained in practice. Now, I heard his name referred to a few times today in the press conference. Is this the best thing that could have happened for Will Howard's career?
To be Will Howard, 6th-round pick that hasn't played a down of NFL football. So I don't bite on any of that stuff. I've been around way too long. I've seen can't-miss first-round picks be complete bums. I've seen Tom Brady win 1 million Super Bowls as a 6th-round pick. Will Howard won a national championship, but I think he's going to give an opportunity. I wanted to see him play in the preseason. I wanted to see what they had. He's a big, strong kid, says all the right things, seems to be a really great character guy. I think he has a lot of positives. I mean, this is a quarterback-starved NFL. If you have something that might be able to help us win because you're a good quarterback, we're going to give you that opportunity. And no one was overly anxious to give him that opportunity. So I've always been a Mason Rudolph guy. I think if you give Mason, the start from the go, if Aaron's not going to come back, I'm sure there's been, feelers out there to see if he's interested. I would love Mason Rudolph to actually start a season as the starter and be given ample opportunity to show what he can do.
The other quarterback that keeps getting a lot of mentions and ties to the Steelers is Malik Willis, who Mike Tomlin was really high on in the draft a few years ago when they ultimately picked Kenny Pickett instead. Do you think they give Malik Willis a look-see?
Well, I'll tell you what. The highlights that I saw when he was forced into action as a Packer, I mean, he has all those. He has those Mike Vick type qualities. I mean, the guy, he can throw it. He's a little bigger than a lot of guys think. He can definitely move. I think that would be kind of cool. But I think back in the Mike Tomlin, Kenny Pickett draft situation, he was blowing the ultimate smokescreen there. He had no interest in Malik Willis. That was all a game.
Their big need over the last couple of seasons, of course, has been at wide receiver, too. For some inexplicable reason, Omar Khan didn't get him one either of the last 2 seasons. Is that where you think the Steelers got to go in the first round now, or do you think that if they don't end up bringing in a Malik Willis, could you see them reaching for another quarterback in the first round?
No, because you use the word that I don't like when it comes to quarterbacks. I don't think you reach.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think there's a quarterback in this draft that, what you maybe want to do is build so that a quarterback maybe next year or even the year after, would come in and, have a roster ready. Like when Ben came in, when Tommy Maddox went down and Ben got the opportunity to get in there, they kept it very simple for him. They let him come along very slowly, but they had a Super Bowl team around him. I don't think they'll be able to build that type of roster that quickly, but my intention would be, if I were the Steelers, let's get a roster ready for that. When we get the quarterback that is maybe our next franchise quarterback, we have a good roster for him so he can actually go to the position.
Kenneth Gainwell was the team MVP this year. He's a free agent now. He had only been on a 1-year, $1.79 million contract. Do you expect them to up the ante and go back and try to bring him back for next season?
Certainly hope so. I mean, he earned that MVP. He was clearly a plus to that Steelers offense. And I think that Aaron Rodgers loved him. I mean, he turned the whole season around with that unbelievable catch and touchdown. That was, kind of got a little people here. Hey, this team might be able to go somewhere. And then we realized, no, it's Mike Tomlin in a playoff game. And that came to a really screeching halt. But there were some illusions of grandeur there for a moment. But I would think, unless he gets overpaid somewhere, which he might, I think the Steelers would be silly not to go after him.
So did he finally exercise the curse of number 14 with the Steelers after Neil O'Donnell, Lima Sweet, and Sammy Coates?
Say he did a very nice job of bringing some nice feel to that number. I think there's no question about that.
Switching gears over to the Penguins, Paul, this is a team that I think is much better than anybody anticipated. They got off to a nice hot start, but I think people were still skeptical, thought they'd fall back hard to earth. Nobody expected them to be second right now in the Metropolitan Division, tied for 4th in the conference. They've gotten some really solid actual goalie play over the last couple of dozen games. How do you feel about the Penguins and their opportunity the rest of the season?
They did have their, correction, you might want to call it, but right now they're riding a 4-game winning streak. They have Chicago Thursday night, and they're a hot team that you don't want to play against right now. And that was Coach Sullivan's mantra. We want to be a difficult team to play against, but they actually never were. This team actually is. They're very difficult to play against.
So if they could really figure out how to win a shootout, they might actually be the best team in hockey.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's coming anytime soon. I mean, as great as Sid is, he's really not that good in the shootout. So they need, I would actually go out and find, even if it's some junior or someone that's just so filthy on the shootout that he's going to score. And Letang used to be that guy. Secret weapon was Marc-Andre Fleury. He was unbeatable in the shootout. So I don't know if any of these goaltenders can become that guy. I think their best hope would be if the NHL eliminates the shootout. I think that's their only chance right now.
Paul, with the Winter Olympics coming up here in a few weeks, we start to get reminders and videos of the 1980 U.S. hockey team. Netflix actually has got a new documentary that's about to come out. To me, look, as much as I've loved all the Steelers Super Bowl wins and the Pirates World Series back in '79, and as a Red Sox fan, them winning in '04, to me, nothing in the history of sports ever compares to the U.S. hockey team winning over the Soviet Union and then subsequently defeating Finland to win the gold medal. Where does that rank for you?
Well, I'm with you. It was pure. And getting to know, I've known Craig Patri forever. He was the legendary assistant coach. And then getting to know the man that I dubbed the professor of hockey. When Herb Brooks came in and took over the Penguins for a period of time, I was so enamored with him as just a hockey guru and an overall tough guy, great guy. And his story, and a lot of people probably don't realize it, he was the last guy cut for his Olympic year to make the U.S. team. So he knew exactly what buttons to push. He made them unite against him. He pushed them so hard. He absolutely said, we might lose 99 out of 100, but not tonight. Not tonight. And that, the movie Miracle, I mean, when that comes on, I have to watch it.
Same.
Because even Herb's son said that portrayal of his dad, he goes, that was my dad. That was my dad. Like it freaked him out how awesome that portrayal was.
Yeah. One of my all-time favorite movies and absolutely my favorite sports movie.
Love it.
Yeah. All right, let's switch over to baseball for a couple more before I let you go.
Okay.
Do we have a Pirates team that might actually threaten 500 in 2026?
They should sniff it. I mean, the pitching out of the gate's already good enough to do that. They've added a couple of bats that aren't big bats, but they're significant bats because they're major league hitters. They did actually add a couple of major league hitters in the offseason. I would love, a veteran left-handed starter and one more bat. Please go out and get one more bat. And then I'll not only say they can be 500, they can be a wild card contending team with a left-handed starter and one more bat.
I'll tell you what, the kid that they got from the Red Sox, the password, Jonathan Broxton, yes. That guy to me looks like a young Manny Ramirez. I mean, as also a Red Sox fan, I was sorry to see the kid go because I think he's got a world of potential.
Yeah, he's legit. And, you have to respect what the Red Sox have always done. I think they've drafted and developed extremely well throughout the years. So, yeah, you get a nice piece from the Red Sox. It's a good piece.
So what do you think was the impetus to get Bob Nutting to actually reach down into his deep pockets and finally spend a little bit of money?
Well, the spotlight was shining very brightly because National League Rookie of the Year, National League Cy Young Award winner, and he doesn't mix words. He says we better do what we didn't do last off season. He has called Nutting out. Paul Stevens has such unbelievable character and credibility, and he's a generational talent already who comes out and wins Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, in consecutive seasons on a piece of crap team. Been saying 76 wins, and he's national awards. He basically just exposes the Pirates' lack of desire to put a team together. Well, I think Nutting, got the message loud and clear.
Well, I'm glad he got the message loud and clear and actually did something with it and not something bogus like going out and signing Tommy Pham for, a year and $4 million. So,
but you know what? The way he ended the season, all of a sudden I was like almost a Tommy Pham.
Yeah. Ryan O'Hearn, though, I think is a step up from Tommy Pham. All right, so I got to ask you a golf question because this is a golf show, and I know, to your point, it's brutally cold up there, and it's been a snowy winter. But are you getting swings in a simulator? You doing anything to keep the game sharp while it's cold outside?
I wouldn't say it was sharp, but we do have some nice indoor facilities around here, and my son was home for college. He's getting his MBA at Penn State. I'm going to go up and see him this weekend. But we had 2 sessions of indoor golf, but I'm not a simulator guy. I know my swing. I know how I hit the ball. And when the simulator disagrees with what I know, I get angry. Is that fair? Is that fair?
That is fair. I get it. Yeah.
But we do have one. It's a little further away from where I live, but we have one where it's all simulator except you hit the ball and you see the flight of the ball. It's actually into a driving range in heated bays. I need to get up there at least a couple times.
Yeah. Paul, before I let you go, remind our listeners how they can stay up to date with you.
How's your recovery going?
It's going a little slower than I would have liked. Let me put it that way. Yeah,
I didn't want to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm frustrated too. And, I'm starting to get to the point where I figure this is just what it's going to be. So it is what it is.
Okay. I am sending prayers your way that that's not the case.
Well, I appreciate you. Let our listeners know, Paul, one more time how they can stay up to date with all the great things that you're out there doing.
Alexander 44 on X and 937thefan.com. I do a lot of weekend shows on the Fan and kdkradio.com. You can find me there as well.
Paul, you're the best, my friend. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come back and be a part of the show. You're an absolute dream, my friend.
Chris, it's my pleasure. You know it anytime. Anytime at all, my friend.
Take care, Paul. All the best to you and your family. We'll catch up soon.
Sir, you take care.
You too. See you, Paul.
All right, bye-bye.
That's the great Paul Alexander, folks. They don't come better than that guy. On social media, at PAlexander44 is where you can follow him. Again, his golf show is called Going Low. During the golf season, you can find it on 93.7 The Fan up in Pittsburgh every Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Paul has been a wonderful friend and supporter to me over the years. I can't thank that guy enough for everything that he continues to mean to me and to this show prior to when he's joined me here. Always a great guest over on our football show that we used to do Thursday Night Tailgate. And like I say, nobody knows Pittsburgh sports. With all deference to Jerry Dulac, nobody is better than Paul Alexander is. Can't thank him enough. Again, kdka.com is where you can find him as well. I look forward to catching up with Paul, hopefully a little bit later on in the spring. All right, my friends, it is time for me to put a bow on this episode of Next on the Tee. My sincere thanks again to Tom Patri, Paul Alexander, and Martin Chuck for joining me this week. Scheduled to join me next time are LPGA legend Julie Inkster will be here. Can't wait to catch up with Julie. Our good friend and 2019 Champions Tour Player of the Year, Scott McCarron, will be back, as will former tour player and one of the most sought-after putting instructors, Dave Stockton Jr., will be here, and I hope you'll come back and be a part of that show with me as well. I want to thank our friends again over at Trib Live for being such wonderful partners and for hosting this show on their site. For the latest news from Western Pennsylvania and beyond, including your favorite sports, go to triblive.com. You can find this show by clicking on the sports section tab of triblive.com, and right there on the homepage of the sports section, you're going to see Next on the Tee. Or find Next on the Tee by going to podcast.triblive.com. You can also find this show pretty much everywhere you get your podcast content. Particularly, we're out there on Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and golfnewsnet.com. But as always, folks, my thanks go out to each and every one of you for being the greatest supporters in the history of podcasts, barring none. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Until next time, hit 'em straight, my friends.
Thanks for joining Chris again this week on Next on the Tee. We hope you enjoyed the conversations as much as we did. Please share the show with your golf buddies and be sure to follow it on Trib Live or your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thanks for pressing play and being part of the journey. We'll see you next week, right here, where the best minds in golf share their stories.